I woke up with a start, my heart hammering like it was trying to escape my chest, only to realize I wasn't in my room anymore. Instead, soft silk sheets enveloped me, and the scent of expensive cologne and something sharper, more commanding, filled the air. My first thought, this is not my life. My second thought, the one that made my stomach churn, I am an Omega. And not just any Omega. I am the Omega married to a general, a man whose reputation could intimidate a hurricane. I pinched myself, half expecting to wake in my cramped apartment in downtown New York, the one with peeling wallpaper and a leaky faucet. No such luck. My hand landed on the satin sheets, and I realized with a sinking sense of horror that this reality was sticky, luxurious, and very, very real. The door creaked, and he appeared tall, broad-shouldered, wearing that impossibly perfect uniform that made my knees betray me with a familiar weakness I didn't want to feel. His hair was immaculately combed, his jaw sharp enough to cut glass, and his eyes, mercilessly piercing. It was the kind of stare that could read every secret thought in your mind. I see you've decided to wake up, he said, voice low but commanding, carrying the authority of someone who didn't ask for compliancy demanded it. I swallowed hard, trying to steady the storm inside me. I don't know how this happened, I whispered, the words tasting like betrayal. This isn't my life. I can't. He stepped closer, and the subtle scent of his cologne wrapped around me, hypnotic and suffocating at once. It doesn't matter how it happened, he said. What matters is what you will do now. A shiver ran down my spine, but it wasn't the kind caused by fear alone. I felt a strange pull, a magnetic tug that had nothing to do with choice. I was aware, with terrifying clarity, that my Omega instincts were screaming in conflict with my stubborn, defiant mind. I had decided absolutely that I would not serve him. Not now, not ever. Listen, I said, forcing my voice steady though my hands shook. I won't be what you want me to be. I'm not yours to command. He raised an eyebrow, an almost amused smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. Bold, he said softly, his gaze lingering on me with something unreadable. Very bold. Most Omegas would have submitted by now. The tension between us was electric, a tangible thread connecting two extremes. His authority and my stubbornness, my defiance and his silent curiosity. For a moment, we just stood there, the room thick with unspoken words, desire, and confrontation. Outside, the sun had begun its slow descent, painting the room in streaks of amber that danced across his strong features and my trembling hands. I'm not afraid of you, I whispered, though even I could hear the tremor in my own words. You should be, he said, stepping closer, until the air between us felt impossibly thin. But perhaps that fear could be useful. My stomach twisted, and I clenched my fists under the sheet. Useful? How could my fear ever be useful? And yet, the very idea made a strange spark ignite in my chest. It wasn't just fear, it was curiosity, and something darker, something undeniably magnetic. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time seemed meaningless when the world had condensed to just the two of us in that lavish room. He spoke in tones that were measured, calm, almost teasing, probing the edges of my resistance without breaking it. I responded with defiance that masked every tremor of my body, betraying the truth. I wanted to understand him. I wanted to challenge him. I wanted him, though the word felt wrong and right all at once. By the time evening fell fully, painting the sky in deep hues of orange and violet, I realized that despite my determination, I was caught. Caught in his gaze, caught in the gravity of his presence, caught in the inexplicable pull between fear and fascination. I still refused to serve him, and I would cling to that, even as every instinct in me whispered the opposite. He finally stepped back, giving me space but never truly letting go. Then we shall see how long your defiance lasts, he murmured, eyes dark and unreadable, lips twitching in a way that suggested amusement and something far more dangerous. I wanted to hate him. I wanted to run. But as I watched the fading sunlight glint across his uniform, I knew one thing with terrifying clarity. this was only the beginning. And somewhere deep inside me, a part of me thrilled at the challenge, even as I swore I would never submit. The following days were a battlefield of silent glances, near touches, and words carefully measured to avoid giving away too much. I clung stubbornly to my refusal, insisting that I was my own person, that no amount of commanding presence could change who I was. Yet, every time his hand brushed against mine accidental, he claimed I felt a spark, a jolt that made my heart betray my stubbornness. One evening, he found me in the garden, hiding from the weight of his presence. The sky was painted in the soft, forgiving colors of twilight, and the garden smelled of roses and earth, comforting and grounding. He stood at the edge of the fountain, hands in his pockets, watching me with a gaze that felt like it could see straight through my carefully constructed walls. "You're trying so hard to resist," he said quietly, as if talking to himself more than to me. "I have to," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady, though my body betrayed me with every shiver that ran through me. "I won't be what you want me to be." He stepped closer, slow and deliberate, until the space between us felt impossibly intimate. "I don't want you to be anyone other than yourself," he said softly, the edge of command replaced by something warmer, gentler. "All I've ever wanted is to know you really know you, even if that means earning your trust, your consent, your choice." The words hit me harder than any force of will. For so long, I had equated his power with control, authority, and inevitability. But now, hearing the vulnerability in his voice, seeing the weight of sincerity in his eyes, I realized he had never forced me. He had simply waited, patient and unrelenting, for me to choose. A laugh escaped me, shaky and incredulous. "I don't know how to trust that," I whispered. "I've been broken before. I'm scared it's going to happen again." He reached out, and this time I didn't pull away. His fingers brushed mine lightly, almost timidly, and the warmth of his hand grounded me. "Then we'll be careful," he said. "We'll take it slow. But I promise, I'm not going anywhere." For the first time, I allowed myself to believe him. To believe that maybe this strange twist of fate waking up as his omega in this impossible life was to prison, but a chance. A chance for something real, something deep, something neither of us had dared to hope for. The days turned into weeks, and our walls slowly crumbled. We discovered each other in small moments, shared meals in the golden morning light, quiet walks through the manicured gardens, late-night conversations under the stars where laughter replaced tension and warmth replaced fear. Every touch became less about command and more about connection, every glance less about control and more about care. One night, as a gentle rain fell, we found ourselves on the balcony, wrapped in blankets, watching the city lights twinkle below. He took my hand, and I didn't resist. I felt the solidity of him, the grounding presence I had once feared, and now found comforting. "I never wanted to force you," he murmured, his thumb tracing gentle patterns on the back of my hand. "I wanted you to come willingly. I wanted you to choose me, and I did." Slowly, painfully, beautifully, I chose him. I chose the warmth behind his commanding eyes, the tenderness hidden in the strict lines of his mouth. I chose the man who had waited, respected, and challenged me, who had made me see that submission wasn't about losing myself, but about trusting someone enough to share the world I had built around myself. That night, under the gentle drizzle and the soft glow of city lights, we finally closed the distance completely. Lips met in a tentative kiss that quickly deepened, carrying the weight of longing, fear, and surrender all at once. My heart raced, not with panic, but with a joy I had never known. His arms wrapped around me, steady, reassuring, and I realized that the fortress around my heart had fallen not because he had broken it, but because I had allowed him in. In the days that followed, life found a rhythm we both understood. There were still moments of tension, old fears that whispered in the quiet corners of my mind, but they no longer controlled me. He became my partner in the truest sense, protector, companion, confidant, and love. And I became his, not out of obligation or instinct, but out of choice, out of respect, and out of a love that was fierce, tender, and irrevocable. Standing together on the balcony one evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, I felt a sense of peace I had never known. The mansion, the uniform, the circumstances that had seemed impossible, none of it mattered anymore. What mattered was the closeness of his hand in mine, the warmth of his presence, and the unspoken promise that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. I smiled, leaning into him, feeling the steady beat of his heart against my chest. "I think I'm finally home," I whispered. He pressed his forehead to mine, a soft, tender gesture that spoke of all the battles we had fought and all the love we had discovered. "You are," he said simply. "You always were." And in that moment I believed him, not as a general commanding an omega, but as the man I had chosen. And for the first time since waking in this impossible life, I felt free. Free to love, to trust, and to be loved in return. Free to be myself entirely without reservation. And that was more powerful than any command, more intoxicating than any instinct, more enduring than any fear. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.